All right, so you should have now been able to get a message to scroll across your sensat by using sense.show_message and then putting in quotation marks the message that you want to display. So if you hit run on your simulator, you'll get your message that scrolls across the screen. And next, we're going to take a look at how we can change the colors, because right now it's kind of boring. It's just white letters on a black background. So in this next exercise, we're going to add some color. And one thing to be aware of is that the Raspberry Pi Foundation, the people who made the Raspberry Pi and the SenseHat and all that stuff, they're in the UK, so they spell color differently. That might be a hang up later because we have to spell color their way when we give our SenseHat some instructions on how to display colors. All right, so how do we actually use colors with the project? Python by itself is kind of limited. It doesn't know about different colors that exist. Or at least not their color names. It has to use numbers to represent those colors. So every color can be made up of different amounts of red, green, and blue. So if we want to tell our program how to represent a color, how to use a color, we need to make a variable and assign that variable to the code of red, green, and blue values that will create that color. And if you go onto the resource, there's a color picker link that you can use that will let you play around with different colors. You can just like slide these, click these different bars to adjust the colors, and you can start to mix your own colors and teach your program new colors potentially. So for instance, if you want to teach it what magenta is, these are the numbers for red, green, and blue for magenta. But let's start with something simple. Let's just make red. So to teach the computer how to make the color red, we say red equals, and then in parentheses, and it's important that it's in parentheses so it knows that that's one bit of information, one little chunk of information. We're going to put the amount of red, the amount of green, and the amount of blue that make up that color. The color red is just full red, 255 is the biggest number, and no green and no blue. So to make the color red, we say red equals 255,000. And now to actually use that color, we can add in, when we did our show message command, if we put a comma after our message and then tell it the text color we want it to use, as long as we've taught the computer what red is before that line of code, then we can say use that color red, and it should then add that into your message. So if I go onto my line of code, sense.showMessage, in between the quote and the parentheses, I'm going to put a comma and say text underscore, oh, and look at that. Trinket suggests, hey, I think you are trying to change text color, so let's say that, equals red, because we just made this little variable there. So now when you hit run, now your same message scrolls, but it uses that red color instead. So for this exercise next, I'd like you to make a couple more colors in your project. So red is a good one to start off with. Make some more colors, like green is an easy one to do next, because that's no red, full green, no blue. Blue would be easy, because that's no red, no green, full blue. And then use the color picker that's on the link to find one or two other colors that you can add into your project. And experiment around with the text color as well as the back color. And see if you can figure out what the back color does to kind of play around with this and customize this greeting so that it's personalized and your own.